when there is an opportunity.
Something came to my mind the other day when we saw Andrew Card resign or jump off the sinking ship, whatever you want to say. I've always thought, looking at that very, very famous footage of him bending over and whispering into the ear of President Bush in that Florida classroom, I've always thought that what he said was, "Everything's going according to plan, sir." It's the only thing that makes sense looking at his faith, at Bush's faith. How do you account for the fact that there are so many holes in the official story? Surely they would have planned the cover story while planning the attack. Do they want us to uncover the truth for some other reason?
That's a good question, and I devoted quite a bit of space to it in the new Pearl Harbor, because I point out there are so many things that are just so obviously problematic. But one answer is that, when you look at the war in Iraq, these guys are not geniuses. Now, there is a very frightening possibility, which is, yes, indeed, they do want Americans to know, and know that they know we know, and that there's nothing we can do about it, and that they're in control. I hope that is not the case, but it well could be. And people ask me if this stuff keeps me awake at night. That possibility does sometimes.
Is anything known about the placement of explosives in the World Trade Center buildings and their ignition?
Both Jim Hoffman, whom I believe is here, and Stephen Jones, physicist at BYU, who's, I think there was film with him in it, and he has written a lecture which has gotten a lot of circulation called "Why Indeed Did the World Trade Center Buildings Collapse?" Both Hoffman and Jones have discussed this issue. Of course, would not know exactly. I mean, we won't know until the truth comes out exactly what happened. But there are plausible scenarios, not very difficult actually to figure out, as to where the explosives would have to be placed in order to slice, all the 47 core columns. And evidently, it wouldn't take an enormous number of explosives. Jones, at least, suggests it would take quite a bit fewer than I had originally thought, so that it wouldn't literally take thousands of hours to plant all these.
What about the flight that crashed in Pennsylvania? Several of my family members work for the NSA, and they say it was shot down.
I left 93 out tonight because I thought you might want to get home before midnight. Oh, a man appreciates that. Good. But I devoted quite a bit of time to it, both in the New Pearl Harbor and in the second book. It certainly does appear that the U.S. military shot it down. I mean, there's an enormous amount of evidence that it did. And it appears that one of the motives for lying about when Cheney went down below is to make it appear that he could have not possibly given the shoot-down order. That is, everybody knows it was Cheney who gave the shoot-down order. Now, there's been the controversy, did he get the permission from the president? And of course, they say he did, and even the 9/11 Commission expressed skepticism about that. But that aside, everybody knows that Cheney gave the order. So then the question is, When did he give the order? Every story prior to the 9/11 Commission report said that he gave it several minutes before 10 o'clock. And Flight 93 was shot down at 10:03, according to the government's theory, a little later, according to seismic records. Richard Clarke, for example, had said in his book, Against All Enemies, that he was amazed when he asked for shoot-down authorization, how quickly it came from Cheney. And Clarke gives the impression it came about 9:45. And he says definitely before the president's plane took off at 9:50. And then we have reports that jets were sent by the head of NEADS, NORADs in the northeast section, and told to shoot the flight down. We have a pilot who said he heard a rumor from his other people in the military that the military had shot down an aircraft. People at the site gave all sorts of evidence that would suggest the plane had been downed probably by a missile, and so on. But the 9/11 Commission said that Cheney didn't get down to the underground bunker until almost 10 o'clock, and then by the time he gave the shoot-down authorization, it was after 10:10, so that at least 7 minutes had gone by after the flight had already crashed. So the logic is, Cheney, the military could not possibly have shot it down. But this is one of the most obvious lies in the Commission report. Everything, including Cheney himself, indicated that he was down there long before that. And it's just amazing, or it ought to be amazing, that our mainstream press won't even point out that most obvious lie in the Commission's report. Of course, another question is, why if the military shot the plane down, why are they lying about it and saying they didn't? Why didn't they claim, well, here, when we got a sufficient notification, we did our job. So see, we were trying to protect Washington. This is one of the big mysteries. Why they didn't take credit for it and lied about it. There are various theories about why this happened, and some of them are plausible, but I don't know for sure. One other thing happened recently, by the way. There was an envoy to Canada and talking to the Canadians about supporting America with regard to going all the way with the new plans for NORAD. And this speaker, to try to instill pride in the Canadians, said, well, you know, it was a Canadian who gave the order to shoot down Flight 93 on September 11th. So little bits of the truth do come out here and there, it appears.
What do you think is the best response to the phrase conspiracy theory?
Well, the quickest one is that the government's theory was the original conspiracy theory about 9/11. And it's very interesting that both President Bush and Philip Zelikow used the identical words, telling people, do not fall for outrageous conspiracy theories. But it's interesting to think about, what would be an outrageous conspiracy theory. It can't just be any conspiracy theory, since the government's theory is a conspiracy theory, according to which 19 Arab Muslims, under the inspiration of Osama bin Laden, conspired to do all these things. So what's an outrageous one? Well, if you think about these things in terms of the philosophy of science, you have good theories and bad theories. There's nothing wrong with a theory. Quantum theory is considered rather respectable, and yet it's a theory. So, and there's nothing wrong with conspiracy theories. We all believe hundreds of conspiracy theories. Every day you read the newspaper, read about, it's just when 2 or 3 people conspire in secret to do something immoral or illegal, that's a conspiracy. And so our newspapers are full of those, from robbing the